John chapter 1, 43-51 Bible study John chapter 1, 43-51 Outline I. The call of Philip and Nathanael A. The call of Philip 43b Philip finds Nathanael 44-45 Nathanael questions whether the Messiah can come from Nazareth 46d Jesus praises Nathanael's character 47e Jesus demonstrates his omnipresence 48f Nathanael proclaims his faith 49g Jesus promises he will see much greater things 50-51 Discussion questions. Are there any principles we can derive from this? Copy into our lives? How effective do you think it would have been if Philip had tried to explain why it was okay for Jesus to come from Nazareth, or that he might actually be from Bethlehem without them knowing? Should we always be able to defend the gospel in words? What does it mean that Jesus saw Nathanael under the fig tree? Did Jesus pass by there before? What does this mean? Is it good or bad that God is everywhere? Compare Nathanael's reaction to the reaction of most Israelites at that time. What does the phrase, "no deceit," or "no fraud" mean to you? Is it significant that Nathanael believed when he did not see the greater things, and that most Israelites did not believe even when they saw the greater things? What does this teach us about faith? 1. Nathanael. The name means, God-given. Nathanael's home was Cana of Galilee John chapter 21, 2. It was here that Jesus performed his first great miracle, turning water into wine. Jesus called Nathanael a true Israelite. This may be because Nathanael is a model Israelite who put his faith in the Messiah when he came. Many Israelites were only Israelites physically, but Nathanael was also a spiritual one. Are we true like him today? From verse 47 we can deduce that Nathanael must have already believed in God. An unbeliever would certainly be full of deceit. But Nathanael was an honest person. We can also see that Nathanael was well versed in the scriptures. When Philip told him that Jesus was from Nazareth, he immediately doubted whether Jesus could be the Messiah. It was well known that the Messiah would be from Bethlehem. Micah chapter 5, 2. The priests and scribes also knew this and had told Herod years before. Matthew chapter 2, 5-6. In contrast, Nazareth was a small and insignificant village. No one expected the Messiah to come from that region. John chapter 7, 41-52. Nathanael has also often been identified with Bartholomew, the same person, different name. This is because John never mentions Bartholomew, who was mentioned with Philip in Matthew chapter 10, 3. But mentions Nathanael, who was a friend of Philip in this passage. It is not known whether they are the same person, but it is possible. Nathanael had a soft heart. He was very open to God and had strong faith. He did not need much evidence, but simply believed. 2. Philip, horse lover. More is known about Philip than about any of the other apostles outside the first group. His hometown was the same as Peter and Andrew, Bethsaida. Philip probably already knew Andrew and was friends with him. That is why they are mentioned together a few times in the Gospels. They were also the only two of the 12 who had a Greek name. Philip was the first one that Jesus called in John chapter 1, 43. It is likely that he like Andrew, John, and Peter, had already been a disciple of John the Baptist. This was shortly after Jesus had changed Peter's name. Philip was the leader of the second group of disciples, Matthew chapter 10, 3, Mark chapter 3, 8, Luke chapter 6, 14. He is mentioned at the top of the list of the second group in each list. Notice what he does almost immediately after being called by Jesus. His first act is to go and tell his friend about Christ. It was not just by chance, and Nathanael did not go to him. Philip went out deliberately with the intention of telling Nathanael. We see the call of Jesus. Are we called by Jesus? Many have started their own things without really being called to the task. It is vital that we have God's calling in our tasks, or we will not be able to complete the task to God's pleasure. God's service. Think about it. 3. We see more communication between Jesus and Philip than with most of the apostles. Jesus asked Philip where they should buy bread to feed the large crowd. John chapter 6, 5-9. This was done to test Philip and his faith. Philip answered reasonably and practically in accordance with human thinking, but left out the spiritual aspect and did not think about Jesus' miraculous abilities. Through this episode, he must have gained much more faith in the Messiah. 4. In John chapter 12, 20-22, there is another brief account of Philip. Some Greeks had come to worship and wanted to know more about Jesus. They went first to Philip. Again, Philip, through Andrew, went to Jesus and probably took them to Jesus as well. Philip did not go into a long talk about who Jesus was and all the miracles he had done. Instead, he wants them to meet and see Jesus directly. This is a good example for us. We should not rely on our own knowledge or logic. Our goal should be to int.
Odosere folk til Jesus og lad ham gøre forandringen.
Oduse people to Jesus and let him do the changing. We are God's ambassadors, appointed to point to God's Son Jesus. But we can only point to Jesus. If people will not believe, we must go on to others. Shake the dust off our feet and give the gospel to others who will receive in faith. 5. However, Philip was slow to learn. He had been present and seen Jesus' miracles. He had heard Jesus' teachings. But he still asked Jesus to show them the Father. John chapter 14, 8. Philip believed and loved the Lord. But like the other disciples, he did not fully understand. He knew that there was something wonderful about Jesus. He believed that he was the Messiah. He just did not know all the theology and its implications. However, Philip was still there after Jesus rose from the dead, and he presumably saw Jesus. Acts chapter 1, 13. He then continued to preach the gospel boldly. Tradition says that he was martyred in Hierapolis in Phrygia. Are we willing to die for Jesus, or do we run away when persecuted? 6. Nazareth. Nazareth was the home of Mary and Joseph, and it was also where Jesus grew up. Luke chapter 4, 16. Luke chapter 2, 39. It was the place where the angel Gabriel announced to Mary that she would have a son who would save the world from their sins. Luke chapter 1, 26 to 33. This is where the family returned to Israel after returning from Egypt, where they had fled from Herod. Nazareth is identified with the town of En-Nazirah. This small town now has a population of 5,000 to 1,000, and is estimated to have been slightly larger at the time of Christ. The Bible is a historical book. The people were real people, and they lived in real places. It is located in southern Lebanon, and at that time a major trade route between Egypt and Asia was close by. Nazareth was a small and insignificant village. It was never mentioned by name in the Old Testament, and therefore no one believed that the Messiah would come from there. Most did not know that he actually came from Bethlehem. From the words of Nathanael and the priest John chapter 7, 41, 52, it is also likely that people from that area were looked down upon. This could be due to moral character, which was clearly lacking. As they did not believe in Jesus despite the signs he performed there, their status in society, or other factors. Jesus began his ministry in synagogue there. Matthew chapter 13, 54. What a blessing for the Son of God to appear in person, living and teaching in your own town. The town of Nazareth was truly blessed. But they squandered their great opportunity. They rejected him, and once tried to kill him. Luke chapter 4, 16, 29, Matthew chapter 13, 53-58. If you go there, you can still see the mountain they tried to throw him off. They gave him no honor, and they had very little faith. As a result, Jesus went to another place and performed few miracles there. 7. Choosing. Notice that Jesus found Philip John chapter 1, 43, and that it was Jesus who issued the call to follow me. John chapter 1, 43. We know this is true from John chapter 15, 15, where Jesus said that he chooses us, not the other way around. Jesus intended to go there. He took the initiative to go to Philip's place. He took the initiative to talk to Philip. He took the initiative to command Philip to follow him. And he had already begun the work in Philip's heart long before that. Some may ask, what about Nathanael? He went to Jesus, didn't he? Nathanael went to Jesus because he worked through Philip to bring Nathanael there. Notice that Jesus already observed Nathanael before Nathanael even came. This is just another example of God calling and finding us. Are we following Jesus today? Or the teachings of a church, pastor, etc.? 8. Evangelism. Here we see a good example of evangelism that is reminiscent of Andrew with Peter. Philip didn't have all the answers. He didn't have much experience. He had only followed Jesus for a very short time. Philip actually made mistakes. He said Jesus was from Nazareth when he was from Bethlehem. Called him the son of Joseph when he was only the supposed son, and said he found Jesus when Jesus found him. Many people in this situation make many excuses as to why they cannot share the gospel. They say they cannot answer questions. They do not want to make mistakes. They cannot share everything clearly. What about us today? What are we evangelizing with, sharing on our social platforms? Our lives, our words? What are we filled with? Of the gospel of God or anything else? He could have made all these excuses. He could have found many reasons to wait for a better time. But now is the day of salvation. Philip took advantage of the time. As soon as he was called, he went to tell others. That is how it should work. Philip was enthusiastic and excited about his newfound love for Christ. He shared it simply. He told Nathanael that he had found the Messiah and invited Nathanael to come and see. Evangelism is not that complicated. It is about sharing what we have seen and heard and what God has done for us. 1 John chapter 1, 1-3. It is about introducing others to the
Er Gud. Begynd at introducere dine venner for Gud.
Our God. Start introducing your friends to God. Tell them what He has done for you. Give them a Bible and let them see for themselves with your help. Philip used the word came, indicating that he was still there to help. They would do it together. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because remember, it is God who saves and calls, not us. 9. Everywhere. God the Trinity is everywhere. The fact that Nathanael believed in Jesus as the Messiah because of Jesus' statement that he saw Nathanael under the tree shows that it was a miraculous event and that Jesus was not there physically. John includes this to show us more about who Jesus is as a person. He is still omnipresent. He healed others from a great distance several times. Jesus limited many of his divine attributes when he came to earth, but he still knew everything that was going on everywhere and could see it all. He could see right into the heart. Psalm chapter 139, 7-13 confirms this truth. Psalm chapter 139, 7-13. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my escape in the depths of the earth, you are there. If I take the wings of the dawn and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, your hand will lead me, your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, the darkness shall cover me, the light around me will be night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for the darkness is as light with you. For you formed my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. God is everywhere. He created everything. He knows everything about us. We cannot escape His presence. Is it good or bad? The answer is, it depends. If we follow God, the good news is that He is everywhere. He will be with us and guide us in every situation we face. No matter how dark or scary the situation is, God is on our side. But if we are wicked and commit sins, it is bad for us that God is everywhere. He will find them out. He will judge us for it. We will not escape. When you are alone or think that no one else notices or sees you, remember that God is there. He is watching. The judgment is His. When you face difficulties and walk through the valley of the shadow of death, remember that God is there. He will lead and guide you. He will be your light and your strength. 10. Verse 1 to 50. The disciples had the privilege of being there firsthand and seeing all the mighty works that Jesus did. Jesus told Thomas that he was blessed because he believed and saw, but that others who do not see but still believe would be even more blessed. From this we also see that the longer we believe, the more and more evidence we will see that God is truthful. 11. Verse 1 to 51. The phrase, "the heavens opened," seems to be figurative. It is like the unveiling of mysteries and the revelation of who Jesus was and what God's plan was. The angels ascending and descending is likely a reference to their ministry in Jesus' earthly ministry. They ministered to him in the wilderness and the garden. Mark chapter 1, 13, Luke chapter 22, 43. Also at the ascension, the heavens opened and angels descended. In addition, many things happened that were not written. So this could have been fulfilled in a specific instance where Nathanael saw angels physically ascending and descending upon Jesus. Or it could be fulfilled at the second coming when the heavens open and Jesus returns to earth, assuming the angels ascend and descend with him. Nathanael may or may not have seen it directly with his own eyes, but it could mean that he would see evidence of it, know that it was true. For example, consider the phrase, "see what I mean." It doesn't necessarily mean seeing with your own eyes, but it could mean, now you have evidence of what I mean. So we don't know exactly how this was fulfilled. It could be any of the above. The biblical account is historical. It tells of real people with real personalities. It tells of real places that can be visited and compared with the biblical account. It tells of real events that are backed up by many eyewitness accounts. If they had written about real places and people, but not real events, the scriptures would have been erased. Jesus calls and finds us, not the other way around. From our vantage point, it may seem like we are the ones who find Jesus, but he comes to us first and lets us find him. Our goal should be to introduce people to Jesus. We don't need to have all the knowledge. We don't need to be able to answer all the questions. But we should have a heart for people and a desire to lead them to Christ. We should do as Philip did, and if we don't know the answers, say, "Come and see," or give them a Bible and say, "Look and see." God is always watching us. He sees us wherever we are. He knows our hearts. We cannot deceive or fool God. Do what is right because he is watching us. Be honest with him too. Amen.